why is it that during these times of crisis, we see that the strength of our social cohesion here gets very much exposed as not being able to resist some of those spillovers from international conflicts? What do you think what are the key dynamics impacting the local dynamics of multiculturalism and social cohesion in Australia? And I will, if you don't want to answer, I will ask. So, Joel, you're not at the pre-panel conversation, so I can see that you are. So let's start with Ihsan.
Thank you.
To my right, okay. Yeah, that's right.
That's, of course, a difficult question. We studied this before we discussed, as you say, but yeah, still.
Doesn't make it any easier.
So, diverse societies are fragile in a sense that they are open to influence from foreign powers in some cases, and this is a two-way street. So sometimes diasporas want to engage with their homelands, the sending countries of origin, to influence politics over there. They have deep connections and heritage there, and emotional and nostalgic connections too. And in some cases, some governments want to take advantage of this. Sometimes it's a kind of soft power, so they want to use them as part of their lobbying efforts, spreading their culture, and for tourism purposes and so on. But sometimes it turns into a kind of sharp power where the foreign government wants to really negatively impact on the host country there. And it is a matter of identity and belonging as well. And sometimes people here, they feel more belong to others. I mean, you can have multiple belongings, of course, so there is no contradiction here. You can belong to more than one country. But in some cases, when you don't have this strong connection with this country, you are open to influence and resentment in relation to the host country politics, and especially if you are talking about an occupation, displacement, dispossession. These are really significant and hurtful things. So you can't just forget about these things. So it becomes part and parcel of your identity, and you are definitely influenced by them. And then you have these digital technologies in this age, and the social media and disinformation campaigns. All these things make things easier for the mischievous actors. Sometimes they are third-party actors. You would have Russia and other actors who do not have anything to do with the conflict in Palestine, but they would want to stir things and especially influence negatively democracies. And sometimes democracies are too slow, and they are not resilient in some cases, and it takes time to simply realize what's going on.
Sure. Sarah, if I can perhaps build on Ihsan's answer there in terms of diversity can be fragile. Diverse groups are diverse within themselves anyway, and in a way what you've been doing recently reflects that diversity, right?
Yes, yeah. Maybe I'll just briefly describe the Jewish Council because sure. Maybe people don't know. So the Jewish Council is a new organisation. We are made up of academics and historians and lawyers. We're all Jewish, and we came together because of this, to provide an alternative Jewish voice, one for peace and justice for Palestinians, and also one to oppose racism. We were all, we've all been very frustrated at the portrayal of the Jewish community as this monolith, which, with Popular Light, where, the suggestion that, all Jewish people have the same political views. This is something that, not only breeds racism towards everyone, but makes this conflict not one of, as you say, Ihsan, not one about dehumanisation, about occupation, about injustice, but makes it a conflict between two peoples. And just, it's such a hard question to speak about social cohesion at a time when there is so much injustice in the world right now, when we, turn on our phones, we turn on our screens, we read the news, we see, children starving, we see, people passing away, and it's impossible to have what does social cohesion mean in that time? And I think one of the things in my mind that is breeding social cohesion is, a attempt by some people to stifle that legitimate conversation and criticism that we all need to be having about what's happening in Palestine. And this sort of conflation between social cohesion and comfort and and politics and social cohesion doesn't mean that you can't get challenged on your political views. You can't get challenged for your support for a state, that is currently committing violence. And, this is not a question of a lack of, of cultural safety. It's a question of, people that we need to be having open and honest conversations in this country about what is happening internationally, what is happening in Palestine. I think, the council formed as well to in our view, racism is combated and social cohesion is achieved by groups who are experiencing oppression working together, working in solidarity with each other, forming real meaningful connections. It's not from, hiving off one aspect of racism, by saying anti-Semitism is unique and sole and singular, and it's not related to other forms of racism. We see all forms of racism as being connected and all forms of oppression as being connected.
Thank you, Sarah.